Ready? You're good?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And before we start, I'll like to say welcome to our guests here today. It's nice to, we're looking forward to the presentation. It's nice to have our friend Jason Hahn here from Municipal Affairs joining us. We've missed him for a while now, so it's really nice to have him. We just got done talking about him at the last meeting, and here he is. So I think his ears must have been burning while we were talking about him. So. The other thing too is that Councillors Fromm and Councillor McCormick have sent their regrets for this afternoon's meeting. Councillor Lee, even though you might not see her on the live stream, she is joining us by Zoom, so she is here. Now I will call the meeting to order, and we acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Item 2.1, approval of the agenda. The recommended motion is that the agenda be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Lockett, seconded by Councillor Strong. All those in favor signify by saying aye. The agenda is approved. Thank you very much. 2.2, as per the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, members are required to declare a conflict of interest prior to any discussions on the matter. 2.3, the recommended motion is that the minutes of the September 10th, 2025 regular committee of the whole meeting be approved as presented. Can I have a motion to that effect, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Gould, seconded by Councillor O'Telling. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you very much. Business arising, 2.4. Mr. Herrick, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Business arising is at page 9 of the agenda package today, and it's a brief list. There are 3 items from last month's meeting, or all are complete, and we have 1 outstanding item, which is the drinking water issue in River Hibbert, and that issue remains in progress. Any questions, Your Worship?
Thank you very much, Mr. Herrick. My only comment on that would be that we need to now make you a longer list, considering the amount of complete things that are on there. So we'll get to work on that before the next meeting, I'm sure. Right, Council? Awesome. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Seeing none, we'll move along. 2.5, public hearing. LUB and MPS planning review presentation. And Mr. Boone, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, members of council in the gallery, as well as those watching online. I'm going to be very brief, and I know you find that hard to believe, but here we are.
Something new every day.
So I'm simply going to introduce Jennifer Brown, who is our lead planning consultant with Dillon Consulting. She's leading our municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw review with a team that she will give us an overview for. The only comment I will make is that the development and planning team spent the better part of 3 hours with Jennifer and her colleague Morgan today, just starting a deep dive into the process and doing a lot of focused planning and conversation. So I thank Jennifer for being here for that session today, and I'm going to ask her to come on up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Your Worship.
We're very pleased to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Glenn, for the introduction. We are, like Glenn said, we did meet with planning and development staff today. Very first impressions, I would like to compliment you on a very strong staff complement that you have here. Your folks are very engaged. They're very knowledgeable. The conversation today was really productive and have really kicked me off with this project. I think that the momentum is already being felt. So in starting that, I'll move on to the first slide there. My job here today is to really go over who the project team is, what our goals and priorities are through this project, the structure, the timeline, what we're asking of you as council, and I'll do a bit of a preview on the initial round of engagement that we undertook in late August, just to give you an idea of what the community is saying, and also outline some next steps. Very briefly, my name is Jennifer Brown, as Glenn mentioned. I'm a professional planner, just under 15 years of experience. Before I worked with Dillon Consulting, I worked for municipal government, and before that it was provincial government. So my bread and butter is really working with teams like Glenn's to kind of understand how to flow development in a way that meets the community's expectations, while also understanding that there are, big, large issues that we're tackling here. I will be the planning lead on this project. I'm backed up by quite a few engineers that work in municipal government, water resource engineers, linear municipal infrastructure folks, environmental science folks, as well as other development professionals. We've partnered with FBM to do the public engagement on this. I'll just mention FBM is the staff that'll be working on this project are based out of Halifax. They have worked in generally this area before, so they have some contextual knowledge, which is really helpful. But as a team, I'm very confident that in partnering with your team, we're going to have a very good time. Let's put it that way. Moving on to the next slide. So what are we doing here? We're looking at your municipal planning strategy, your land use bylaw. Both of these documents are very solid foundational documents. They're in good shape. We're doing a 5-year review of a very strong framework. So what we're attempting to do here is some strategic updates that are really focused on priority pillars. And these priority pillars were identified from your staff. So we're looking at accommodating housing, accommodating density. We're looking at coastal zoning approaches. We're looking at approaches to renewable energy, and we're looking at the rural and agricultural lands approach. Very high level here at this point. Next slide, please. So how are we going to do this? We're looking to undertake this project over 6 phases over 14 months. So we're really in that project initiation and background stage, learning as much as I can. Our team is really, at this point, just the sponge, trying to get as much information as possible to set us off on a good note. Then we'll move on to citizen and council engagement. We're really tentatively planning for the next engagement to come out in December, but we'll follow up with more details. Council will have quite a bit of heads up on that, so you're able to talk to your constituents. Engagement is going to be very robust here. We have, I think it's 13 different locations we're going into over the course of the next year, which will lead us into phase 5, which is policy development, drafting, and staff review. We're really reliant upon your staff to guide us, and they really proved today that they're very willing to help and are very eager to do so. We're looking at a little bit of a change with respect to legislative approvals. When the RFP was issued, it had an original timeline that looked at this being adopted early May. Just because of kind of the late onboarding, we're going to push those approvals out likely to September. This avoids some vacation issues and lets kids get back into school and parents settle down so they're able to participate in the process. And we are kind of working with staff to confirm the detailed process that'll be provided in follow-up to this council. We can change slides. So I broke your role into, if you really want to think kind of into it here, I'm trying to break this down into kind of immediate and ongoing, as well as short-term and long-term. So we're really looking at you to engage with the project. So you're going to be seeing a lot of materials cross your desk. Some of them require kind of immediate attention, but they're always going to be nice reference materials as we go through this process. So short to medium term, though, we're really looking for you to be the champions of this process. So when you know that there's engagements coming, if you can share that on your social media, if you can talk to the groups that you're working with, the networks that you're in, about this engagement to get folks out. I think engagement is really difficult. We're going to attempt to do this online and in person. So it's, we really rely on the community to bring their communities into these engagements. We're looking to, in that kind of short to medium term, also workshop some of these bigger concepts with council. We're tentatively looking at that to be January and early February, where you'll review the background that we've gone through, provide input on those preliminary approaches under kind of those 4 pillars, as well as any additional pain points we identify through the process. We're also looking for you to provide direction on priorities. So we're going to the community, we're going to staff. We need to also bring these to you to understand if there's an agreement. So as much as, you know, we'll line everything up, we need you to assure us through this process that this aligns with council priorities. So long term, these are council documents, a municipal planning strategy, land use bylaw. You are the ultimate deciders and ultimate administrators of these documents. And the hope is that as you're making critical decisions, like budgetary decisions, you're also thinking about the direction that's provided in your biggest policy document, which is your municipal planning strategy. So having you involved early and throughout the process allows you to kind of lean on those documents long-term as you make those big decisions. Next slide, please. Moving on just to a preview of what we heard, we undertook 2 pop-up engagements in late August. So we really wanted to capture some of the seasonal residents. We also, there's a lot of tourism that runs through this area. We wanted to capture some of that as well. We went to the Pugwash and Parsbo farmers markets and just tried to get a kind of a snapshot of what people were thinking. We got about 150 folks walk through our both of those tents. We really engaged these folks. We had through a large format map. We also had some informational posters and pamphlets to hand out. You can see in the picture here, there were a lot of comments, a lot of folks engaged. Next slide. Some of the key feedback themes should be of no surprise to the folks around the table. Housing, a lot of commentary on diverse and affordable options, really focused down on singles and seniors. We'll likely hear more about that through this process. A lot of talk about the environment as well as the connection between the coast and the economy. The coastline brings a lot of tourism to this industry. I think the residents are really cognizant of that, and we'll be talking about that a lot through this process. Coastal protections, dike infrastructure, and agricultural support also kind of fall into that environmental theme. Community well-being was also a really nice theme to hear more about. So this appreciation of recent investments in public spaces was something we heard quite frequently. We also heard, kind of on the other end, we heard a lot about unsightly premises and a lot of folks just asking for more enforcement or questioning how, not necessarily question, but inquisitive about how you're doing enforcement. And we heard, as not uncommon in a community like Cumberland, food security comes up quite a bit in the feedback we received through those pop-up engagements. We'll culminate all of this feedback with the next round of engagement and provide essentially a what we heard report. So more detail on this is incoming, and we'll hear about that through next steps. So we're working with staff right now to incorporate management team, to incorporate council into both the work plan and engagement timeline. We're in the process of doing technical review under those priority pillars, as well as a detailed document review. You have a lot of documentation. You have a lot of studies. You have a lot of active things happening in the community. We want to make sure we've got our brains wrapped around those before we get in too deep. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the public engagement tentatively planned for December. Hoping to get you folks more details on that shortly. So again, this is very high level, but we're really excited to be here, obviously. We're really excited to work on this project. I think it's really nice to come in as a planner with documents that are in good shape and with staff that are not necessarily super unhappy with the documents. We don't see that often. So we're really excited to kind of look at opportunities for innovation, opportunities to be very respectful of the character of the community and really propel some things forward here. So I thank you for your time. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I much really appreciate it. Get the update. This is not meant to be a question and answer period, so to speak, but more of an informational thing for the members of council. Although if somebody has any comments they'd like to make for a quick one, we will let it go. So go ahead, Councilor Dillon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a comment, usually when things are scheduled for December, nobody shows up.
May I just make one mention?
Sure.
We are attempting to coordinate into events already planned for the community. So if you've got Christmas markets, holiday events, things like that, we're going to show up at those. We're not going to request necessarily your community comes to a separate event because of just that. Yeah.
Great idea.
We'd rather meet them where they are. Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. And I will warn you in advance that the council engagement session could tend to be a long one. They'll have lots to add to the thing and not
We'll
lots
bring
to say.
snacks and coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea. So thank you very much, Jennifer.
Yeah,
Much
thank you.
appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. 3.1, fees policy. Ally McCormick, Director of Recreation and Community Services, you now have the floor.
Oh, are you doing that?
Well, it says she is.
Just teasing.
It looks like a rather lengthy read. 14 pages.
Thank you, Your Worship. Including your council package, you'll find proposed amendments to the fees policy. Staff have been reviewing the existing fees policy and recommending amendments, including adjustments to existing fees to recover actual cost and administrative expenses, standardizing and simplifying the fee structure, and updating municipal fees to reflect current services and market rates. So these proposed amendments incorporate recommendations from the Administration Department, Finance, Public Works, Planning and Development, and Recreation and Community Services. And all this information is found within your council package, so I'm not going to run through it. But myself and the other directors are happy to answer any questions that council may have about any of the proposed fees.
Thank you very much, Ally. The recommended motion is the council forward the fees policy to the October 29, 2025 regular council meeting for consideration. If someone would be so pleased to make the motion. Moved by Councillor Redmond, seconded by Councillor Hoteling. Any questions or comments or discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, okay. We'll get it. 3.2, ice allocation policy. Ally McCormick, Director of Recreation.
Thank you again, Your Worship. Included in your council package are proposed amendments to our ice allocation policy. The Recreation Community Services staff have been reviewing the policy and are recommending just a few changes to this existing policy. We'd like to add a clause stating that the CAO approves no-fee ice time requests from community groups, and this is just to reflect our current practice. We've clarified the ice operating season and the ice allocation process, again, to align with our current operations. We've adjusted the rental rates to include HST so that any user groups can see what it is that they will be charged in full. We've also added the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation to the list of the regular arena closure dates. We've strengthened the payment terms, requiring accounts to be paid within 30 days to avoid booking cancellations. And finally, we've added guidelines related to alcohol and tobacco use. And again, this is just to reflect our current practices. So I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you very much, Ally. The recommended motion is the council forward the amended ice allocation policy to the October 29, 2025 council meeting for consideration. Somebody like to make the motion? Moved by Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lockhart. Any comments or discussion on this?
If I could make
Go ahead.
a comment, Your Worship, just in this policy and in the last one of the things we attempted to do, and Ally indicated that in her comments on this policy, was bring all of the fees to a common denominator where HST was included in all of them. We had a bit of a mixed bag of some were in, some were out, and so we've tried to make it consistent across those policies. Thank you.
And this is an annual thing that we do, review these things, or no?
Certainly, the fees policy is something that we would review annually, and probably something that we would prefer to do at budget time. It's taken quite a bit of time to get the departments to actually review the fees that relate to their operations, and so we'll put this in front of you again at budget time, but this is kind of trying to get it to a place.
Okay. Anyone else? Any comments? I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried unanimously. 3.3, this is much akin to the Glenn Boone show, only with a new person.
I can never replace Glenn.
It doesn't take nearly as long, I might note too.
Yeah.
Road Trails Designation Bylaw 25-11. Ally, go ahead.
Thank you again, Your Worship. So included in your council package, you'll find proposed road trails designation bylaw and 2 maps that are identifying proposed road trails in the communities of Spring Hill and Parsboro. And this is a new bylaw for council to consider. So under the province's Road Trails Act, municipalities have the authority to designate sections of municipally owned roads for off-highway vehicle use through a municipal bylaw. And these designations are aimed at enhancing trail access, supporting local recreation and tourism, and strengthening connections between existing trails and nearby businesses. So the proposed trail designation bylaw would designate the following road sections. In Parsboro, Main Street from community boundary to Western Avenue, Eastern Avenue from community boundary to Main Street, and in Spring Hill, Lagoon Road entire length, McGee Street from Lagoon Road to Harriet Road, Lisgar Street from Lisgar Street Extension to Main Street from Lisgar Street to Church Street, and Junction Road from Highway 142 to North Street. And again, I believe you all have maps in front of you that can give you a better sense of those areas. So I do just want to mention that allowing off-highway vehicles on certain public roads does come with some safety considerations, but staff believe that the risks are expected to be low, given that the number of the limited areas that are being proposed and the rules that are already in place under provincial legislation. So again, I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you very much, Ali. The recommended motion is the council forward the consideration of first reading of the Road Trails Designation Bylaw 25-11 to the October 29, 2025 meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lockhart. Any comments or questions on this?
If I could make a comment, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Just one of clarity and one that we just kind of had a quiet conversation about. These are just roads that are not owned by the province of Nova Scotia. These are roads that are in the communities of Spring Hill and Parsboro, where the municipality retains ownership and control, and we have the authority to make these bylaws in respect of those roads, but not of the ones that are out in the rural area of the county that are still owned by the province of Nova Scotia.
And yes, and I understand there is a motion or a movement afoot to ask the province to extend that out Route 2 towards Southampton for a distance from where we start at, going back towards Amherst, so to speak. So I was privy to a letter from the Trails or the Advans or whatever the other day asking for our support in that exercise too. So, which I was happy to write a letter of support for. So, okay. Did we vote on that?
No.
That big dialogue?
Not yet.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments first, I guess? I rambled on there for far too long. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ali. Business issues 4.1, Christie Smith Community Fund Grant Facilitation Request for the Westcom Amateur Radio Club. Our Deputy CEO, Mr. McCracken, will take the lead on this one. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you. Excuse me, tickle in my throat here. Thank you, Your Worship. A request has been received from the Christie Smith Community Foundation for the municipality receive funds to be dispersed to the West Cumberland Amateur Radio Club on the foundation's behalf. Since the club cannot accept and issue a charitable donation receipt to the foundation requests that the municipality accept the funds and then disperse them to the club, thereby providing the foundation with a charitable donation receipt. We have done such arrangements in the past, and something that we are allowed to do. There's a recommended motion in your package.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. The recommended motion is that the request to receive $8,000 from the Christie Smith Community Foundation and to disperse the funds to the Westcom Amateur Radio Club be forwarded to the October 29th, 2025 regular council meeting for consideration. Somebody like to make the motion? Moved by Deputy Mayor Gould, seconded by Councillor Redmond. Whoops, sorry, didn't see you, Kerry. Any discussion or comments on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. 4.2, grant request, Pugwash Legion. Mr. McCracken, you continue to have the floor.
Thank you again, Your Worship. On the Pugwash Peace Branch, Legion Peace Branch 60, submitted a county general grant for $11,000 to help with renovations to improve what the application refers to as food safety standards in their kitchen. A detailed list of items to be done is in the attached application. The Legion is a hub of activity and hosts many events on their own and rentals from the community, some which require the kitchen, obviously. Council decided when allocating grants to organizations early in the year, it would keep a balance on hand to address requests as they arise. There's currently a balance remaining in that fund, and that's, if approved, where the funds would come from. There's a recommended motion in your package as well as the application from the organization.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. The recommended motion is the council forward the funding request for $11,000 from the Pugwash Legion to the October 29, 2025 regular council meeting for consideration. If someone would like to make the motion. Moved by Councilor O'Telling. Seconded by Councilor Lee. Any comments or discussion? Councilor O'Telling.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to comment that the Legion parking lot is always packed full every weekend that I drive by, and it is a well-used hub for especially senior citizens in Pugwash, and there's many activities that go on there, including community suppers, one of which they have on Christmas Day, and everyone should attend because it's a wonderful meal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? The motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Get closer to zero. Oh, did I say that?
Shh, quiet. Equity and Diversity Plan. Mr. McCracken.
Your Worship, I'm
Continue on.
going to go set up a presentation, and I'll be right back in shortly, and I'll invite Stephanie Hack,
Perfect.
our engagement coordinator, to come down. Yeah,
Come on down.
Welcome, Stephanie.
do the presentation.
What page are we on? 64.
I fill in to do the slideshow here. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Your Worship. Like the Accessibility Act, the Dismantling Racism and Hate Act requires prescribed public bodies, such as municipalities, to develop and implement plans to support the goals of those provincial acts. That act requires prescribed public service bodies to appoint advisory committees and develop equity and diversity plans and update these plans every 3 years. The Equity and Diversity Advisory Committee, along with the community engagement process, helped shape this plan, and we're very pleased to present it to council tonight. The plan is the municipality's commitment to celebrating and better serving Cumberland's increasing diverse population, and is centered around 3 areas of focus: programs and services, human resources and administration, and leadership and decision making. Now, there's a copy of the plan in your package for reference. Now I'll turn it over to Stephanie to take you through a slideshow.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your attention to the brand new equity plan and for your openness to trying new equity initiatives. This plan covers us from 2025 to 2028. So you know what to look forward to. Here's a presentation outline. We have an overview, 4 focus areas, highlights of our plan's actions, an overview of what other municipalities are doing, and time for questions and comments, but maybe not questions. Apart from this, thank you. Apart from the legislation, let's talk about why we're doing this. Genasi Dachen means I put a lot of effort into this plan, and as you can probably tell, it's very close to my heart. There are many people moving to Cumberland, and our diversity is increasing. Whether newcomers or Canadians moving from other provinces and territories, the influx of people are bringing new ideas and different expectations of government-supported equitable communities. Division is growing in our culture. This is harmful because people who should be working together are pitted against each other when they have more in common than they think. Equity work invites people into our programming and decision-making who have been previously left out or forgotten. The learning that we can experience from each other is invaluable and decreases division. The Association of Municipal Administrators helped our directors and CAO identify important areas of implementing this plan: training and development, policies and procedures, accountability mechanisms, and community engagement and implementation. These broad ideas can guide our more precise actions. They can help keep us on track toward our goals in line with internal, provincial, and public expectations. Now we'll get into the meat of the plan, the actions within 3 areas of focus: programs and services, human resources and administration, and leadership and decision-making. A sneak peek here shows the work already underway with our partners at the Joggins Fossil Institute with their trilingual signage. These are a few highlights from the plan that I'm particularly excited about: visible support for diverse cultures, tourism, training, and reconciliation. Next slide. Seen here, the town of Truro lights up the Colchester East Hants Public Library in rainbow colors, perhaps during Pride Month. If implemented here, it would beautify our Upper Nepean Service Center and would be a great way to spread a bit of awareness about different holidays around the year. Paired with online public communication, we can celebrate holidays like Diwali, Juneteenth, or Hanukkah. As for tourism, any of you may agree that Cumberland is a diamond in the rough. With thanks to our own Economic Development Officer, Tourism Nova Scotia, and partners like the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark, tourism is growing in our humble home. At sites that we own and operate, we can team up with the Geopark and Mi'kmaq Knowledge Keepers to edit signage to reflect our evolving understanding of inclusion. It is widely recognized that education is one of the most important and effective ways to create lasting change. To train staff and volunteers, we have to recognize how different people's roles are. Training for senior leadership would look very different than what we offer customer service or volunteer firefighters. However, we also want all staff to have some exposure to equity training. This is already underway. We are very fortunate to have honored Mi'kmaq Knowledge Keeper Gerald Glode with us next week to share cultural stories at our all-staff meeting. I also want to emphasize the importance, Amanda, back. Thank you. I also want to emphasize the importance of training other public servants, firefighters. Our firefighters serve us bravely when we need them most. This includes opening their stations to community during storms. As we see storms increase in severity and frequency, they will have to serve people of all stripes in their warming centers. I believe we can make a more welcoming environment for all during these stressful weather events. You may hear often that we are all treaty people. What this means is that every person in Mi'kma'ki lives under the peace and friendship treaties, that we all have responsibilities to these treaties. In the municipal sphere, we are beginning this journey by taking some of the following actions. We are asking Mi'kmaq for input in the municipal planning strategy and investigating how to engage Mi'kmaq in practical and respectful ways like we did for the Parsboro Playground Committee. Here are some examples of what other municipalities are doing regarding equity work. You may notice that I've included us, the municipality of Cumberland, in this list because I want to inspire some confidence and pride in our leadership. The question of what other municipalities are doing comes up often. We tend to want to see someone else doing it successfully first before we give it a try ourselves. But this also goes in the other direction. The things we may decide to do can inspire other municipalities as we are inspired by them. Antigonish Municipality and Bachtengek First Nation have an excellent relationship. They collaborate on things like land use planning, resources, and energy development. The towns of Yarmouth and Kentville have murals and cultural festivals. Chester's washrooms are all gender neutral. East Hants also has gender neutral washrooms and change rooms, Indigenous public art, a street naming policy, and much more planned. And finally, we held the Truth and Reconciliation Day Talking Circle last year with staff and elected leaders to begin our reconciliation journey. Thank you for your attention to this plan. I hope you're as excited to see some of this work take place as I am.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you, Stephanie, for that. Stephanie's put a lot of hours and hard work into this, and I want to thank her on behalf of the municipality for all that you did to bring this together. And there's a recommended motion for council's consideration in your package.
Thank you very much, Peter. The recommended motion is that council forward the equity and diversity plan to the October 29, 2025 regular council meeting for consideration. Somebody be so kind to make that moved by Councillor O'Telling and seconded by Councillor Redmond. Anybody have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor O'Telling.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to share that I spent a good long while in the bibliography section reading all of the information, and it was really interesting. So thank you for including that.
Anyone else? Trying to see Counselor Lee. She's up in the corner of the screen here, and there's a massive glare right over top of her. And doesn't matter which way I go, the lights still take precedent over her. So, okay, so nothing else? Any other comments? We're good to go. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And again, Stephanie, thank you very much for your efforts in that presentation and all your work in the last few months to get this to where we're at today. We certainly appreciate it. 4.4, strengthening law enforcement against violent and drug-related crime. Counselor Lockhart, you have something to talk about here? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, it's in the package, and I circulated the motion to everyone at the last meeting. I don't think it's any secret that when I got elected, one of my things was to try to keep the RCMP a little more accountable, and the crime problem that we've inherited has moved on the last few years. And a lot of the problems, the RCMP arrests these people, and 2 days later, as the mayor had talked about earlier, are back out, or the same day, doing the same thing. And this is a federal, criminal matter, the Criminal Code of Canada, and I don't think it's fair to blame any government. I think that it's happened over a long period of time, probably the last 25 years. And this is a letter I'd like to send to the Minister of Justice and our local MP to ask them to really look hard at some of the suggestions in there. And hopefully they do read it, and we'll take some of the recommendations. And I hope I can get council support to get that through.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor Lockhart. Do you want to read your motion?
Yeah, sure. The council directs staff to send a letter to the Canadian Justice Minister and our local MP asking them to support getting tough on crime and ending the catch and release policy of individuals charged with violent crimes and drug trafficking. And the balance of the letter is on page 92 of the package.
Good. Thank you very much. Any comments or discussion on the motion? I'm going to let him off.
I know
yes.
he was going to say that.
I am definitely going to let him off. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Oops, sorry, hang on. We're seconded by Counselor Strong. Now we'll go to that. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Counselor Lockhart. 4.5, vegetative buffer requirement in flood hazard zones. Counselor Hotelling, away you go.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had shared last month my concern, and I was quite surprised that we did not have a watercourse protection in place around the development that came through. And I had shared that I would like to bring that forward at the October council meeting or committee of the whole meeting, so here I am. So the purpose of my agenda item is to request that municipal staff prepare a report outlining the implications and amending the applicable bylaws to require a vegetative buffer within the flood hazard zones. And I wanted to be clear about some considerations that staff could look into around this item. So one would be the environmental benefits of how vegetative buffers mitigate flood impacts, erosion, and water pollution, and the potential alignment with climate adaptation and watershed health goals. The policy and regulatory considerations, so identification of relevant existing bylaws or policies that would be affected, overview of comparable regulations in other municipalities or jurisdictions, and compatibility with provincial and federal regulations. Implementation considerations, so options for buffer width and vegetative types. I'm aware that I believe the district of Lunenburg has a vegetative buffer that we can compare to. So application to new developments versus existing properties, enforcement mechanisms and long-term maintenance requirements, and for pros and cons, environmental, economic, and administrative impacts, potential benefits to community resilience and infrastructure, and possible challenges for landowners, developers, and staff. And stakeholder and community engagement, considerations for engaging residents, developers, and environmental groups. And so the objective would be to enable an informed discussion by council on whether to proceed with drafting a bylaw amendment and to understand the full range of impacts and considerations involved. So we all know that our decisions have a ripple effect and should be well thought out. So I want to just make the motion that staff be directed to prepare a report outlining the potential benefits, challenges, and implementation considerations of requiring a vegetative buffer within the designated flood hazard zones.
Thank you very much, Councilor Telling. If someone was willing to second the motion, it's seconded by Councilor Lee. She was moving her hand to get on the screen when I looked over to you there, Councilor Redmond. So, anyone have any questions or comments on this motion? Deputy Mayor Gould, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So is this not a part of the land use review bylaw? It'd be the same? So I'm just wondering if we're gonna ask staff to do something that's already being done, time-wise, and I'm not sure. I'm a little bit confused. I thought we already had this discussion before, so just looking for clarification, I
Okay,
guess.
thank you very
from
much.
somebody.
Who wants to go next here? Go ahead. Glenn? Do you have something? Yep, okay. Glenn, then Councilor Hotelling. I think is how we're gonna do this. One second, yep.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'll answer Deputy Mayor's question first, if I could.
Sure, go
Your
ahead.
Worship. Okay, so simple answer is that in our conversations, two things. In our RFP for the plan review, we very specifically talked about coastal and water protection. And as you saw in the presentation by Jennifer earlier, that is one of the key pillars for us to look at. So, and Councilor Hotelling's been very open about that in other conversations. So simple answer to that is yes, it's a focus, it's one of the pillars. For us to spend the time, and I'm just gonna be very honest, the time to do additional work now, we can certainly do it. It's just that I can't guarantee how quickly we're gonna bring that back to council. So I'm just gonna be very upfront. A lot of moving parts right now, Your Worship. And I think there's a lot of good guidelines in what Councilor Hotelling's presented, Your Worship. And we can probably bring a report back, but I still think it has to be something that will be a little deeper dive into as part of the plan review, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. For now, I'll ask one quick question before I go to you, Councilor Hotelling. So your advice in your position here would be that we wait until the review is done and work and see what that tells us before we add more to it, or do we, what's your?
I
just to be
think in
clear.
fairness to what Councilor Hotelling's brought forward, we can look at it. We can provide some information. But at the end, anything we look at now still has to be incorporated into the full plan review. So I'm going to go with council's direction. But at this point, I understand that when Councilor Hotelling spoke about this last time, Your Worship, the concern was making sure, because the plan review is going to take some time, is that we looked at this issue in advance. So I'm going to ask for council's direction.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Director Boone, I'd ask that you stay where you're at for a minute or until we continue with the
I
conversation.
just want to jump in on that, just in terms of resource allocation. So it's either, there's not, from my point of view, there's not much point in having a report light and then a report again. I'm not taking a position on whether council should approve the request or not. It just doesn't make sense for me to duplicate the effort. So if council wants to have a definitive answer and consider whether they want to amend land use bylaw of the MPS for vegetative buffers, okay, fine, that's council's purview, but it really doesn't make much sense to do it twice, so, from my point of view. So I would discourage okay, well, we can do a report and then we'll wait for and we'll include it in the consultant's work as well. I think it should be one or the other, that's all.
Thank you very much.
Agreed, Your Worship. I guess I was getting out, if council gives direction in one way, we're going to follow up and respect that. I prefer to do it as part of the plan review. I understand that we probably will come back to council with some housekeeping amendments, because the plan review is going to take 12 to 14 months, but those are things that we're being pressured on a regular basis as well, just for clarity for council. So respectful of the issue, and it is a pillar of our plan review.
So would this, just to be clear one more time, would this be something that would fall under the council engagement with Dillon Consulting specifically? Would this be an item that we
Yeah.
could specifically?
This specific, we'll make them aware, and we have made them aware about, looking at more details in the buffers and the watercourse buffers, not just the coastal ones, but all of our buffers along watercourses, not just in the floodplain, but all of our watercourses. So I would be one of the issues that I would expect that Councillor Hotelling would bring forward in that conversation with Dillon when we do just the council-focused workshop. So, yes.
Okay, the other thing, back to you, Councilor Hotelling, the other thing would be that you're specifically referring to the 30 meters buffer that we currently have, is that, okay, good, so one question down real quick. And the other one would be, this more or less ties into coastal erosion, correct?
This ties into the development that took place last month and all of the comments that we received from residents who were upset that the development was cleared right to the river edge and that the river would be impacted. So that's what this is about. But not knowing that it was going to be a pillar I did read that in the agenda, but not knowing that it was going to be a pillar when I wrote this agenda item, I'll just rescind my motion based on the fact that I don't want to create more work that's already going to happen anyways, and I'm happy to hear that it's going to happen, so. I did have a conversation with Director Boone after last month, and he did say that I should bring it ahead of the MPS review, so that's why I did. But
Oh, good, yep, awesome.
If I could,
Things
yeah,
change.
we talk, and I encourage you to do that too. I mean, if
Yep.
you felt strongly about it, you should express it, and here we are and had that conversation, so.
Good, okay.
And Your Worship, I'm not discounting the issue whatsoever. I want to make sure that Councillor Hotelling's aware of that, because that's why we made sure it's one of the pillars, coastal protection, all of those elements around watercourse protection, and understand the need to do a bit more in that area.
I just would like to add one more thing, which is, when we talk about these things, it sometimes tends to bring people to want to do those things faster because they know that changes are coming. So that is one reason that, I would have liked to see it happen ahead, but hopefully the review happens quickly and it's winter, so.
Right, good, thank you very much, yeah. I know that there's a movement afoot with federally that we scrap public hearings and all of that, it's just bizarre what they're suggesting that municipalities and provinces do to fast track stuff for housing development and whatever. Makes no sense to me, quite frankly. It's a very dangerous path to get on. So you're willing to withdraw your motion, Councillor Hotelling?
Yes, Your Worship.
Good, then the motion is withdrawn. Thank you very much. Councillor Redmond, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank Jen for bringing this forward so that it's still at the forefront of our minds. I think if this hadn't have been, there might have been a possibility it wouldn't be up on the top pillar.
Perfect. Thank you very much, both of you. Deputy Mayor Gould.
Yeah, and I too want to thank you. I wasn't necessarily against it. I was just confused because I thought it was two things being done at the same time and using time, that's all. So I got a long answer to what I thought was a short question, but thanks, everybody, and thank you again, Jen.
10-minute answer to a very short question. Very well done. 4.6, request for provincial action to repair the Village of Pugwash stormwater system. Councilor Hotelling, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So critical infrastructure concerns related to the stormwater management system in the Village of Pugwash have been ongoing since I was elected in 2020. In fact, my very first meeting was with the department and the MLA and the village around issues at the end of Water Street. And they are ongoing along every road in the Pugwash Village. Persistent deficiencies in this system have raised significant concerns among residents, particularly regarding flooding, property damage, and potential environmental impacts. Our community has experienced increasingly frequent and severe storm events in recent years. These events have placed undue strain on an aging and inadequate stormwater infrastructure that is no longer capable of effectively managing runoff or protecting properties and public spaces. Numerous residents have submitted complaints, and while the municipality is not responsible for this infrastructure, I do feel responsible to relay these concerns to those who have authority and capacity to take action. So I'd like to make the motion that council directs staff to prepare and send a letter to the province requesting a comprehensive update regarding the status of the stormwater system in the village of Pugwash. The letter should specifically request information on the current condition of the system, any proposed timelines for repair or replacement, and clarification on whether the project is being considered for inclusion in the 26-27 provincial capital budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seconder for the motion, please. Seconded by Councillor Lockhart. Anyone have any comments on this one?
I have a comment, if I could. All of those things, so thank you for the opportunity to speak. We've had informal conversations with Councillor Hotelling, myself, Director Wackress, and Adam Cameron from the local office of DPW. So we've touched all of those topics, and so happy to draft the letter to kind of encapsulate those conversations and see if we can get a formal answer for sure. So.
Thank you very much. So, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. External reports and committee minutes, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, which are the Community Navigator Monthly Report, the Solid Waste Monthly Report, the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark Report, and the Cumberland Business Connect Report are all included in your council package for your reading. If anyone has any comments on any of those, Councillor Redmond.
Yeah, the community navigator.
Yes.
Do we know when she was hired?
I will certainly find out. I don't have the
Well,
exact date.
Yeah, our board that I sit on was not notified that we had a new navigator, so I was just curious.
Okay.
I would say, when was the last election? It was 2 or 3 weeks after that, I would say. That's roughly the timeline.
I think so.
Yeah, sometime last.
Within the last year for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, yeah. 6.1, Administration Department Monthly Report. Now the race is on. The finish line is.
Thank you, Worship. I'll draw council's attention to page 106 of your package. There's a couple pages there. 3 pages, I guess, for the Administration Department's September report. Lots of information and bullets there. I'll focus on just a few. First of all, congratulations to Jack Gilroy, who retired in September as our facilities coordinator, maintenance employee here in Upper Nepean after 17 years with the municipality. So I'd like to wish him well in his retirement. 2, under communications, just a heads up that we'll be looking for information for our next external newsletter in late November, early December, and I know council always plays a role in distribution of those newsletters as well when they're hot off the presses. Just a couple more. Another one is we have a new administrative directive to accompany what we call a respectful workplace policy. As of September 1st, 2025, province passed legislation that required municipalities to have harassment in the workplace policies. Luckily, we already had one, but we had to dive a little deeper in administrative policy or directive to include things such as roles and responsibilities, complaint process, and that sort of thing. So we're happy to report that we have those in place. And we're also required to do training for staff around harassment in the workplace, and we'll be doing that a session on October 23rd at an all-staff meeting. And finally, we are also underway in the preparations for the celebration of Mi'kmaq Heritage Month. And at that same all-staff event on October 23rd, we'll have a Mi'kmaq storytelling and traditional dancer join us to impart some Mi'kmaq culture on our staff. Happy to take any questions on those items or any other items in the report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. Does anyone have any questions on this report? Seeing none? Go ahead.
I just have one white item I'd like Peter to emphasize. You brought up the all-staff and Mi'kmaq history event on the 23rd. Can you outline the office closures that will be in place for that event, just for the benefit of council and the public?
Yes, we will be, it's a mandatory event for staff, so we will be closing our service counters and the community center from approximately what time, Darrell?
Is he awake?
Yeah, so. Yeah, so the event's from 9 till 1 or 12, excuse me. So to give staff time to travel from our various regions, we'll be closing service centers early and opening them after the event. So around 8:30, between 8 and 8:30, we'll be closing service centers depending on where they are and reopening around 1 o'clock. Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter.
In case anyone asks why they're not open, that's why. We'll have signs posted. We'll be doing some social media as well to inform the public.
Development and Planning Department monthly report, Mr. Boone. 109.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report is in your package. I'm going to highlight a couple of items. Under planning, there is a notice that has been posted. 40 Chapel Street's the former Roman Catholic Church, which has now been purchased. Looking at a redevelopment plan, we are going to do a planning policy change. Therefore, it requires a public information meeting before we create the first reading report to bring to council. That is on October 21st at the Community Center in Spring Hill. It's an open session, free-flowing, 5:30 till 7. The application by Bragg Lumber in respect to the development in Collingwood, the appeal period has now expired. We were not made aware of any appeals from the board, so that zoning is now in effect. We just had our presentation on the plan review, so you're all up to date on that. Second business logo sign in Fort Lawrence, where we've done the cleanup on the sign. Second business logo sign is actually in the report is being developed. It's actually populated as of Friday. So good news, we've done some of the parking lot repairs at the Gateway Entry Park as well. And with regards to permits, year to date, permits are down slightly, but only by about 2.8%. So in excess of 650 permits have been processed. Housing units actually are up. So we have 150 units, new housing units applied for year to date from up from 132 last year. So we're actually up 13.6%. So happy to answer any questions, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. Any comments or questions from council on that report? I will note, for the record, that your new dog park in Fort Lawrence at least has a count of 2. I went by one day and there was someone walking a German Shepherd, and I went by again and somebody was running their Labrador Retriever in our new dog park in Fort Lawrence.
So, Your Worship, I didn't bring up the dog park because it's not officially open, because we're waiting for a few items to deal with Doggy Doo, but we're getting there. So happy to have a more formal opening, and maybe you'll bring your dogs.
Well, we could probably arrange that, quite frankly.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Boone. Finance Department monthly report. Amy Hertel, you now have the floor. That's close to a record.
It's a personal best.
I think so,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a personal best.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report is in your package. I'll just comment on a couple things. As you are all well aware, the audit was approved at the September 17th council meeting, so that was exciting. All available reports at the time were submitted to the province. So finance staff have moved on to the quarterly statements for the first 2 quarters of 24-25. Once complete, that will be brought to the audit committee for review. There is a tax sale scheduled for Tuesday. As of the writing of the report, there were 37 accounts eligible. We're down to about 32 as of this morning. And that is my report, so I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, Amy. Anyone have any questions on this report? Seeing none? Thank you very much, Amy. Much appreciated. Public Works Department monthly report.
Protective Services.
Oh, wait a moment, sorry. I just checked that off and went right by it. Protective Services Department monthly report. Alan Cole. I was expecting it to be the fastest one today, so there you go. That's why.
Thank you, Your Worship. The monthly report from Protective Services is at page 116 of Council's package. Other than the drought going on in September, there were no significant weather events. The fire services callouts were down by number. Statistics were pretty similar to every month that we have. The busy departments remained Pugwash, Parsboro. And from a bylaw perspective, there were 4 demolition orders granted by council in September. 2 of those have been completed. The other 2, 103 Water Street in Pugwash and 1742 Highway 242 in River Hibbert, are scheduled for the end of the month. We gave the occupants their time to get their belongings out of the premises.
Yes.
Happy to take any questions, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. Anyone have any questions on this report? Thank you very much. Public Works Department monthly report. Justin Walcruss. Director of all things smelly.
Thank you, Your Worship. Crews are hard at work in Parsboro, working on the water line replacement. This project's replacing several, at least 100 years old, more than 130-year-old water pipe that has lead oakum joints and is well past its useful service life. Crews have finished work on Whitehall and Atlantic and are working on Templar and Pier Road now. If you were in the community of Spring Hill in the last little while, you would have seen a couple crosswalks. Flashing lights appeared. We put those in on the recommendation we received from a crosswalk study we did last year. Those crosswalks have impairment when you look up the streets, and the geometry doesn't allow for good vision. That helps bring more awareness to drivers. So another tool in our toolbox for supporting pedestrian safety. Happy to answer any questions you have, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Justin.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just I want to highlight a couple of items. The water line replacement project in Parsboro. Justin, can you give us the round rough cost of that entire project?
$1.7 million.
And that's entirely financed by the water utility, correct? The Cumberland Water Utility?
There is provincial funding that funds half of it, and the rest is funded by the water utility.
Okay. And the installation of the, do we call that RFB?
Rapidly rotating flashing beacons.
Thank you. In Spring Hill, on Main Street in Spring Hill, and that was, the cost of that was about?
$6,000 a set.
And that was financed by?
The operations in Spring Hill, which is subsidized by the area rate.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Nope.
Councillor Lockhart, go ahead.
I just want to say that those lights have been well received. Lots of comments, and of course, everybody wants more, just like they had that, but the lights are well received, and thank you, great job.
A lot like our flashing speed signs. So everybody wants more. So, thank you very much, Mr. Walcross. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Hotelling.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a question around the routes that the garbage collection takes when they pick up. We had our collection on Saturday because Monday was a holiday, and I had a lot of phone calls because I think they must have went a different way, and so the ones that got picked up really early in the morning weren't used to getting picked up really early in the morning, and there's a lot of bags of recycling on the side of the road still. Because, and I know that the rule is they have to have it out by 7 a.m., but people get used to the way things are, and so I just wondered if they would stick to their routes or why they would have changed it, maybe because it was the weekend or?
Your Worship,
Go ahead.
Yes, as you alluded to, residents are required to have their waste curbside by 7 a.m. to guarantee collection on their pickup day. And the routes aren't necessarily fixed. Sometimes they may marshal trucks from a different depot or location. A different group might get out ahead, whether it's the recyclable truck or the residual waste truck. And there's no guarantee they'll follow the same routes every time based on the operational needs of the contractor. That's why we have that base of 7 a.m. to guarantee collection.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
If I could just jump in, just take an opportunity. You mentioned the flashing traffic signs. So we previously had, and I think they're ready to go now. I think the electronics have been worked out, correct? The Bluetooth issue?
Yes.
Yeah. So we previously have one speed sign that we moved around the community based on demand. We've been able to acquire a second one, and we've come to a verbal agreement with the local RCMP that we'll check in with them at least once a month, and they'll give us direction on, based on their enforcement needs and the complaints that they receive, where those signs should be located. So, in the past, folks have called their local counselor to complain about speeding, and what I'm saying residents should be doing now is calling the RCMP non-emergency number and complaining if they're speeding, if you want to complain about speeding in your community or anywhere for that matter, so that the RCMP will have that good data and be able to make decisions about where best to position those signs to capture the data. And they're a deterrent, obviously, to speeders, because they see they're there and they see the speed, and lots of folks do slow down. But one of the benefits that maybe folks aren't quite aware of is that when those signs are in place, we do have the ability to actually download the data. So number of occurrences over the speed limit, number of occurrences respecting the speed limit, and those sorts of things. And we were able to provide that to the RCMP so they, again, can mold their enforcement activities around that. So, moral of the story is, if you have a complaint about speeding, please call the RCMP. And that includes members of council, so that it gets captured there and they can give us good advice on where to put them every 2 or 4 weeks. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else? I will note that you were in a solid second place until the CAO went on his little dance there, so.
I don't think that counts towards my time, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Justin. 6.6, Recreation Community Services Department Monthly Report. Ally McCormick. Welcome, Ally.
I don't have any questions for Alan.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Included in your council package, you'll find the monthly report for the Recreation Community Services Department. Just highlight a few items. We're excited to launch our fall-winter equipment loan program, and through this program, we offer free access to a variety of sports, camping, and recreation gear across Cumberland. Items can be borrowed for up to a 2-week period, and we work with residents to make arrangements at a pickup at any of our 4 service centers. So some of the available equipment for fall-winter: trekking poles, bicycles, helmets, learn to camp kits, snowshoes, cross-country skis, poles, and boots. So we really are encouraging folks to take advantage of this free, well-maintained equipment throughout the season. And so if you have any questions, you can go on our recreation website, and it has more information as to how to make arrangements. And I do want to highlight our Halloween party. The annual Teen Center Halloween party is taking place on October 23rd at the Dr. Carson Mary Murray Community Center. Each year we have youth from grades 7 to 12 that attend. They join us from all across the county, and it's a fun night of costumes, prizes, dancing, food, and games. We do want to thank the local businesses that have been helping to support us with some of our prizes for the event. And this is just a reminder that permission slips are needed for all the youth that are interested in attending, and they can drop it off at the community center on October 22nd. But it's always a really fun event, and we're looking forward to having it again this year. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ally. Anyone have any questions or comments? I know you don't. or you already said so, so you're not getting in now. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Thank you very much, Ally.
Thanks.
Muchly appreciated. 7.1, contracts awarded by the CIO.
Thank you, Your Worship. We distributed this afternoon a list of contracts awarded by my office up to October 15th, and this includes the summer period. It's a bit of a catch-up. Would say that, just remind members of council and the public that the authority of my office is up to $250,000 as long as the amount is clearly budgeted. And I do have one exception to that, and I'll explain that. So there's about $460,000 worth of expenditures authorized in that period. Anything from shop drawings to for the wastewater treatment facility, design services for the Spring Hill infrastructure renewal. That's the Main Street work, and so that's in the capital budget, at least that design money is. So that was the consulting money for that. The MPS LUB review, which we had a first presentation on here this evening, was approved by my office, about $144,000. Miners Hall ramp renewal in Spring Hill, about 17. The ever popular Fort Lawrence Dog Park for about $20,000. Glooskap Campground electrical upgrades, about $47,000. And the last one of $19,469 to CBCL for ecological maintenance, flow, and fish passage evaluation. That is not budgeted, and that was done on an emergency basis. It relates to the flow at the brook at the Spring Hill water source. So we are continuing, obviously, to manage and monitor the water flow for the Spring Hill system and the Cumberland water utility. And this is some additional consulting work to allow us to perhaps extend the amount that we that we're able to, how do I explain this? To allow the flow to be a little bit lower than it normally would be. So we're required by the Department of the Environment, Department of Fisheries, to actually have some consulting work to be able to do that, to make sure that when we draw water from the brook, we allow fish passage as well. So we're trying to get that work done in advance of any sort of emergent situation. Right now, things continue to be just okay. We're not in any kind of panic situation, but we want to pull all of the levers that we can now and get the work done that we can now in case we have to go to another step. So that's what that about $20,000 was for. The policy requires that I report that to you as soon as I can, and so this is the first opportunity to do that. So that'll be captured in the Cumberland Water Utility. Again, about $460,000 worth of projects. Happy to answer any questions that folks have.
Thank you very much, Greg. Anyone have any questions on this? Deputy Mayor Gould, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one quick, and it's not really a question, it's just maybe asking you to elaborate, because I just learned a little bit about it the other day. The next step for Spring Hill Water, and what happens when we go to that next step.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I probably should have covered that earlier. So we're in a mandatory water restriction in Spring Hill, which essentially asks folks to restrict their indoor water usage, but actually puts a mandatory restriction in place for outdoor water usage. So things like watering lawns, watering gardens, washing cars, washing siding, those sorts of things are out. We've actually issued a couple of warning letters for a couple of addresses where staff had witnessed outdoor water usage. At the current time, we are maintaining a flow enough to supply the water utility. And we do have a backup plan in place in case the flow in the brook goes below the amount that we're allowed to withdraw. And that would be to use a well on Princess Street. That well, though, if we were to bring that well online, we would be required to institute a community-wide boil order. We're hopeful that that won't be the case, but we believe that it's important to let folks know that, give them some assurance that water supply will continue for things like process and flushing the toilets and fighting fires and that sort of thing, even if we don't have a sufficient flow in the brook, but we would be in a boil order situation if that were to happen. We hope that doesn't happen. But as a contingency, Director Walkress and I have begun to talk to commercial customers in the former town of Spring Hill, to just educate them on what the boil order might look like, to ask them to begin to plan for what their actions might be like in terms of their operations and what their impacts and their processes might be. So sum all of that up. The rain that we received, the significant amount of rain we received last week was certainly a help, but we're beginning to trend down a little bit again now, and so the flow is kind of back to where it was. We do have a backup plan in place. However, that backup plan in place does and would require a boil order, one that would probably be in place for a significant amount of time, just because of the nature of the chlorination system. And we'll be doing the rain dance from now until we can get back to normal. So these are extraordinary times, extraordinary drought conditions, and we're hopeful that we can get through it without those, extreme sorts of measures. But thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Hart. 7.2, Deputy Mayor election. Mr. McCracken, you will lead us on this one. Excuse me.
Thank you, Worship. What I neglected to put in my memo was that the election is not tonight. It is actually October 29th. But as outlined in the MGA, we must have a deputy mayor. And the term of our deputy mayor is 1 year, and it's come to conclusion soon by the end of October. In short, the deputy mayor has all the power and authority and shall perform all the duties of the mayor, and the deputy mayor is notified that the mayor is absent or unable to fulfill the duties of the mayor, or when the office of the mayor has become vacant. Included in your package is the deputy mayor policy for the municipality, which outlines the process for electing a deputy mayor. It also includes additional specific duties not listed but complementary to those in the MGA. So we will be having our election at the council meeting on October 29th. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. Anyone have any questions on that? Seeing none. I will make a comment quickly on all of that, just to forewarn those that would be considering doing this, that there are a number of things that will be necessary, as per what we've done the last year, would be weekly meetings. Generally, they are Monday or Tuesday afternoons, and also an attendance on a fairly regular basis on Wednesdays to sign checks on behalf of the council and municipality. And notwithstanding the innumerable duties and functions that we must attend all across the county in the run of any given month, which are many, to say the least. So, and I expect that whoever the next deputy mayor is will do exactly as we've done for the last year with Deputy Mayor Gu, who has done a tremendous job and filling in and taking his share of the load. So it's not possible for one person to do it all. There's just way too much of it. So anyway, I'll caution you all with that before we start. So any other comments?
Is it many or innumerable? Which is it?
Well, both.
Okay.
They're one and the same.
Okay.
But, the recidivism of it is hard to understand some days, right? So,
Very well put.
motion to adjourn, and then Mr. Harrod has something that he wants to talk about, so moved by Councillor Lockhart. We are now adjourned. Sit tight,